Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this TU Dublin webinar. We're just going to give a minute for people to join. And I'd just like to remind you that this webinar will be recorded. So if you want to look back at it a little bit later, you will be able to. My colleagues will be packaging all of the webinars that we've done over the last week, and we'll be emailing them out on Friday or very early next week, so that you can look back and have a look at whatever ones that are relevant to you. So just so that you know, we will be recording this. Also, we will be giving everybody the opportunity to ask their questions as we come to the end of the webinar this evening. We'll be taking questions through the chat function. So it's closed at the moment as we go through the webinar, but it will be open at about 6:45 this evening. And whatever questions you have at that stage, please feel free to type them into the chat and we will answer them for you. So just to introduce myself, my name is Linda Young and I'm the Senior Manager for Undergraduate Recruitment at TU Dublin. I'm joined by some of my colleagues from the Access TU Dublin and the DARE service in the university. So we have Rena Fitzgerald, and Rena is our pre-entry access and outreach manager. Rena's going to be talking to you a little bit about the HERE scheme a little bit later on. We have Conor O'Malley, and Conor is one of our access and outreach project officers. Conor's going to be talking to you about our own in-house system, TU Dublin, or Access TU Dublin, should I say. And then we have Anya Murphy, and Anya Murphy is one of our learning support officers in the disability service, and she's going to be talking to you all about the DARE service in the university. So we're looking forward to hearing from each of those. To start off, I'm going to give you an overview of TU Dublin. Now, I'm sure you may have watched some of our earlier webinars, but if you haven't, this will just kind of bring you up to scratch in 5 minutes about TU Dublin, who we are, etc., and what's available. And as I said, we're going to look at the HERE DARE admissions. I'm going to talk to you about how we process admissions in TU Dublin. We're going to talk about the HERE scheme, the Access TU Dublin scheme, the DARE scheme, and then we're taking questions. Okay, so we just start at TU Dublin at a glance then. So for those of you that are not familiar with technological universities, TU Dublin is Ireland's first and largest technological university. So we basically founded in 2019. So we've been going strong for about 7 years now. It seems like yesterday that it all started, but 7 years. And we offer a range of courses and disciplines with pathways to graduation, from higher certificates to ordinary bachelor's degrees and honours bachelor's degrees, and then onwards to postgrad. And you might be saying to yourself, oh God, what is a higher certificate? What is an ordinary degree, etc.? So just a quick explanation, guys. If you are studying, say you're leaving cert at the moment, that is what we would refer to as a level 5 qualification, okay? A QQI qualification or a PLC course is also a level 5 qualification. The higher certificate is a 2-year qualification and is at level 6. So basically, that's the next step up from leaving cert, and it's 2 years. The ordinary bachelor degree then is a 3-year qualification, and that's level 7. So you're coming from leaving cert to 6 and to 7. And then the honours bachelor's degree is what we call a level 8, and that's a 4-year qualification for the most part, guys. So that's just an overview of what we're dealing with here. We do obviously offer a postgraduate study in the university as well. So after you graduate at level 8, you can go on to study at postgraduate level, which is at level 9 and 10, but they're not really relevant here at the moment. We're really talking about access via the HERE scheme and the DARE scheme into undergraduate at TU Dublin. These are just an overview of who we are. We've 27,000 students, guys. We do have about 7,000 graduates every year, which is significant. A very high staff-student ratio, and a lot of students from a HERE or particularly a DARE background really value this. You get a lot of one-on-one attention with your with the academic staff here in the university. And we are based across 5 campuses. So I'm just going to show you those locations now. I'm going to talk to you a little bit more, should I say, about who the technological universities are before I go on to that. Just some of the technological universities across the world. You can see Tokyo, we have some in New Zealand, Ontario, across the world. MIT, possibly the most famous of all of those, probably one of the best institutions in the world. Again, a technological university. And I suppose the whole concept of a technological university is that it's very applied. You get to get hands-on in what you're studying. A lot of students really enjoy that way of learning. Okay, so just to move on to our locations. So we've 5 locations in TU Dublin. We're spread across Ainger Street, which is right beside St. Stephen's Green. We then are based in Blanchardstown. We also have a campus then in Bolton Street. Bolton Street is in Dublin city centre. It's approximately 500 metres from O'Connell Street. It's right in the heart of the city centre. We then have our Grangegorman campus, not to be confused with Gormanstown. A lot of people do get quite confused with that. Grangegorman is in Dublin 7, guys. It's probably about 1 kilometre from O'Connell Street. It's very walkable. You probably get into O'Connell Street in about 12 or 13 minutes from the Grangegorman campus. It's very close by to Bolton Street, so a lot of the students will use the facilities on both locations. We then have our Tala campus, obviously based in Tala. And just to make sure when you're applying for your place at TU Dublin, as well as your here, to do with your here and there, that you check the location that you're applying for. Not when you're making your here and there application now, but when you're filling out your CAO form, you really need to check the location just to make 100% sure it's what you want. These are what we offer at TU Dublin. We've 13 discipline areas in the university across a variety of different services. So we have things like architecture and built environment. So built environment is the built world around us. So you're looking at courses in there like construction, planning, quantity surveying, a variety of different areas in there. Business is significant in TU Dublin. We're offering that across 3 locations in Ainger Street, Blanchardstown and Tala. Then on to computing, data and mathematics. Again, we have a significant offering in the university in this area, based in Blanchardstown, Tala and in Grangegorman. Onto the creative arts then, design and media, predominantly based in our Grangegorman East Quad, but also available on our Tala and Blanchardstown campuses. Moving to culinary, hospitality and tourism. We have a significant kitchens in our Grangegorman and Tala campuses for students who want to study in this area. We're also offering hospitality and tourism management. Engineering is the biggest discipline in TU Dublin, on offer across 4 of our locations. So if you're interested in studying engineering, a wide variety of options at TU Dublin, available in Blanchardstown, Tala, Bolton Street and Grangegorman. We're then offering law. We're offering law just on its own, law with the languages and law with business. We're then offering languages. Languages are taught with a discipline area in the university. So you'll get something like business and languages, or international business and languages, or international tourism and languages. So if you're interested in languages, you will also get that other subject as well. Music and drama are also available in the university. We have our conservatoire in the East Quad in Grangegorman, hosting our music degree and our drama degree. Sciences and health then, another significant subject in the university, is based on our Tala and Grangegorman locations. So we're offering all of the sciences there. We have our physics, biology, chemistry, pharmaceutical sciences, food sciences, and then we also have some of our health sciences in the area of optometry, human nutrition, dietetics, if you want to become a dietitian, clinical measurement science, and medical science, all based in Grangegorman if you're interested in working in the health sector. Social sciences then, available in social care in Blanchardstown, Tala and Grangegorman, as well as early childhood care and education and community and youth development. Then our sports and leisure degrees, we're offering sports and leisure, sports and coaching and sports science. And then new to the pack this year, we have our new arts degree at TU Dublin. So very significant change to the way we do our business. We'll be offering majors and minors in the arts degree. So that's a new exciting change for students incoming this year. But that's just a quick overview, I suppose, of TU Dublin to give you kind of an idea of what we do and who we are. But just moving a little bit on to the Here There option, I'm just going to talk to you very briefly about admissions and how we process admissions before I pass you over to Rena. Okay, so in terms of admissions for Here and There, we get a significant number of students applying to the university with or who qualify for Here and There. We give away about a 5% quota per program. So where we have a program that has a large number of students on it or a large number of places on it, that 5% is, that could be 10 students, that could be 15 students. But where we have a quota or a number of students that's less, it might only mean 1 or 2. So as you choose your degree, just be aware that if we are only offering a small number of places on the programme, it will obviously be more difficult to access it with your Here or There option. Students who qualify for both Here and There are given priority. So one of the things people get quite confused about, and I suppose I want to clarify this for you, we give students up to a 12.5% reduction in points to become eligible for a programme. But if you get that, or if you qualify with Dare, it doesn't automatically mean that if you come within that 12.5% that you are going to get the place. There is a quota on the programme, and we do look at students, and students who are in a more detrimental, setting will be offered first. So students who qualify for both Here and There are given priority in the first instance, okay? Students with physical disabilities or who are blind or deaf or hard of hearing are also given priority ahead of the other cohort of students, okay? So once we have looked after those students, then we will come to students, the rest of the students who, for example, qualify for Dare. So I need you to understand that, for example, if you get within the 12.5 percentage points for your course or the course that you really want this year, it doesn't mean that you are automatically going to be given that place, okay? We will award as many places as we possibly can. We want to look after people in so far as we can, but some areas are really, really popular, and there will be a lot of students with Dare or with Here applying for those, and there will be some areas that will be less popular. So it is very difficult sometimes to get exactly what you want. So please just make sure that you have a few options on there, because we will try to offer you something that you want within your CAO form. Okay, so now I'm going to pass you to Rena. Rena, if you'd like to maybe start your presentation and just talk to us a little bit about the Here scheme. Thank you.
Okay, so just an introduction to what Here is. So Here is about making sure every student has a fair chance to follow their dreams and that every student can access higher education on an equal footing. Next. So from point of view of Here, and in Ireland, all universities and colleges are part of the Here scheme, including ourselves and Technological University Dublin. Other colleges which you might not consider, National College of Ireland, for example, NCI is also a part of it. So all universities and colleges, including technological universities, are part of the Here scheme and operate that in Ireland. So why apply to Here? So I suppose the most common attraction for many students is the reduced points on the CAO offers. And again, I suppose just to highlight here that while the reduced points are there, students are still expected to meet the minimum entry requirements and any course requirements for courses, which could be, for an example, a H4 in engineering, maths for engineering, or maybe a requirement for a science subject in a science degree. So the reduced points are the main attraction, but students have to realise that they need to meet the minimum entry requirements for courses as well on top of that. Post-entry supports, again, are attraction for students, and I suppose really are the main benefits as to why you would be applying to here. So there may be financial benefits in some universities and in not all. Academic supports are generally available in all universities, social and personal supports also available. In addition to that, then students would benefit from a different or a separate orientation programme prior to the main orientation programme in universities, which is really beneficial for students in the initial days when in starting to college life. So the benefits of here is more detail, and I suppose as Linda spoke earlier about the reduced points. So again, each university offers reduced points. Each university has their own system for doing that. So I suppose the key message here is to reach out to universities where your son or daughter may be applying, because each university offers a different, I suppose, approach to the reduced points. So it's very important to reach out to universities that you're hoping to apply to look at how these points are calculated. Again, you need to meet the minimum entry requirements for the course that your daughter or son may be applying to. And as Linda pointed out as well, that the amounts of points or the reduction in points depends on a number of things. Firstly, on the number of places on the course, the number of reserved here places on the course, and the number of here eligible applicants. So the reduction in points for here places can vary from year to year. And again, really important to reach out to the university where your son or daughter may be hoping to apply to. And just for an example there, in TU Dublin, the here places for 2026, I just mentioned a few of them there so you get a sense of what is available. So for example, TU 805 is engineering in Grange Gorman and Bolton Street. There's 10 places on that course, and that's a level 8. Biomedical design, which is a level 8 on our Tala campus, there's 2 places available for here students on that course. Applied social studies care in level 8 in Blanchardstown, 5 places available on that course. Applied social studies and social care, a level 7, as Linda spoke about again, the level 6, level 7 and level 8. So in that course, there's 3 places available. Business management in Angel Street, there's 6 places available. And again, just to highlight the importance of completing the level 6s and the level 7 choices on your CAO application. Again, if you want to look at all our courses in TU Dublin have here reserved places, you can find a document that outlines each course with the number of places on the TU Dublin website, and I've provided the link there, and we can also include the link in the chat following the presentation. So here eligibility, the criteria I suppose that are required for here, and this is specifically for 2026. A number of changes have been brought into the HERE scheme this year. I suppose it's really important to highlight these changes and what it means for students. So the first indicator is the household income, and that has to be below 46,790 in 2024. And you can see there highlighted 2024. It's the financial year that we're looking at. Really, really important to take note of that financial year. Documents are required for that year and no other year. Next criteria is medical card and GP visit card that has to be in date. And both the medical card of the student themselves or a parent or guardian are accepted for the HERE scheme. Means tested social welfare payment, again, means tested, very important here again to ensure that you do provide means tested social welfare payments and evidence of them. Some social welfare payments are not means tested, and again, you can Google each means tested payment and find out whether it's means tested or not. You have to provide one that's for 26 weeks in 2024 and no less. Have attended a deaf school, and again highlighting here, it's 5 years that you need to have attended a deaf school. And for those who don't understand deaf, it's disadvantaged school. And again, there's a list on the Department of Education website of those schools, and we can provide that as well. Do you live in an area of concentrated disadvantage or have experienced homelessness within the last 2 years? So again, when we talk about concentrated disadvantage, again, it's really your AIR code you're looking at there. And again, Pubble Maps is the site available to check out that on Pubble Maps, and we can provide that link in the chat following the presentation also. So scoring for HERE 2026. So a scoring system has been introduced for HERE in 2026. This is the first year this has happened. And I suppose it was designed to help students who have experienced educational disadvantage during their post-primary education, such as low income, social barriers, or living in a disadvantaged area. The reason a score system has been introduced is to support students who are in most need of the supports to access higher education. The scoring system, I suppose, focused on the most disadvantaged, while the system previously focused on all disadvantaged. This system looks really at the most disadvantaged groups who are not accessing higher education. It targets the most students that are in need by setting scores and setting thresholds, so to target the resources for those who are most need. So by doing that, I suppose we know what students are applying, we know what students are eligible, and therefore we can have the supports in place when students enter higher education. So the scoring system, again, is based on the 5 indicators that I just went through. So the first indicator is income. That receives no score. So that's a mandatory indicator. Every applicant who applying to here needs to meet this indicator. The medical card, based on if you possess a medical card and it's in date, you score 1. If you don't, you score 0. Means tested social welfare benefits. Again, if you have them and they're in 2024, you score a 2. If you don't, it's a 0. Your area code, again, that is area disadvantage, and you can see they're broken down into a number of categories. We've extremely disadvantaged, very disadvantaged, experienced homelessness, and disadvantaged, and dependent on each one, you score differently. Anything below marginally below average or higher, a score of 0. And the DES school, again, which I said is 5 years in a DES school, a score of 1.5. If you haven't attended a DES school, your score 0 there. So the maximum available points on this new system that an applicant can score is 7. So based on your total of your scores, working from the bottom up, if you score 2 or lower, you're not eligible for here. You can still receive a CAO offer, but you're not eligible for here. If you score between 2.5 and 5, you're here eligible, but not a here priority status, which means if you meet all the requirements, if the places are available, you will get an offer of a here place. 5.5 and 7, you're in a here priority group. Same as here eligible, but you're prioritised based on your scoring system. And again, that's to really highlight those that are in most need and that need most support and access to higher education. So the here priority groups, as Linda said earlier, those who are both here and there eligible get priority. There's also a number of additional groups who are identified as priority groups for accessing higher education, and these include care experience applicants, applicants from the traveller community, applicants from the Roma community, a young parent, and also both here and there. So these are priority groups. So if we meet the requirements, meet the points, meet the minimum requirements, you would be prioritised over any other group when offers are made. So there's specific requirements for here priority groups, and these are documents that these applicants need to provide as part of their application process. So if you're a care experience applicant, you must provide a letter from TUSLA. If you're an applicant from the travelling community, again, a school letter or a community reference letter. An applicant from the Roma community, again, a school letter or community reference letter. A young parent, evidence of low income, and a young parent request for information, or a DSP, a Department of Social Protection statement. And again, applicants who are both here and there eligible are priority again. So if you're within any of these categories, you'll automatically receive a score of 7, and then you need to provide the relevant documentation to back up that score. So how do I apply? As we all know, the CAO opened in November and it's due to close on the 1st of February. So you need to apply to the CAO by the 1st of February. Then you need to review the HERE handbook with your parents or guardians, and the HERE handbook is available on Access College website, which we will share the link at the end. You complete all elements of the online HERE application form online by the 1st of March. You submit all copies of documentation required, as we just looked at, by the 10th of March, and you ensure your CAO number is on every document you submit to the CAO. And then I suppose the question is, what documents do I need to submit? So once you make your application on CAO by HERE, you will get an email that will identify, based on what you've submitted, all the documents that you need to provide to CAO. So very important that you start the application early, you print off that checklist, you start collecting the documents as quickly as possible, as it will take a number of weeks to collect certain documents, example documents from revenue. You send all the documents on the checklist to the CAO by post. You start your application as soon as they open. So if you haven't started, there's still plenty of time to get your documents together and get the information in. Again, do not leave it too late. So if you think you're eligible for this scheme, following this call, really you start the ball rolling, collecting your documents and getting them together. Again, sample supporting documents. Again, depending on your status, you might need a letter from your school or community. You may need a statement of liability from revenue. If your parent or guardian retired, you need a retirement lump sum letter. If you're a parent or guardian who's made redundant, again, there's RP50 notification of redundancy. So all these documents will be clearly outlined to you once you make an application to here through a checklist. So very easy to collect them, print the checklist, and then just tick them off as you're collecting them. Some helpful tips around your application. So again, the HERE handbook has a wealth of information in it. It has all kind of Q&A questions. It has a sample of the application form. It has sample documents, so you can clearly see what documents you need to collect. Complete the online application form accurately with your parent or guardian. Request the required supporting documentation as early as possible. Make contact with schools, community organisations, revenue. So put all them requests in as soon as possible. Send good quality copies of all pages of the correct documents, and make sure you photocopy the back of documents too. It's not enough to have the front copies. We need the reverse copies are also required by CAO to be able to screen the documents. Ensure your CAO number is on all documents submitted. Support all documents by post to the CAO by the cutoff date. Submit the correct revenue documents, and again, check out that these are the correct documents before you post them. Keep proof of postage, and remember the deadlines. The deadlines are key to this. If you provide information outside the deadline, your HERE application will not be accepted. From the point of view of the HERE handbook, they're available on the Access College website. They're also available through your guidance counsellor in the school, and you can request a hard copy from your guidance counsellor as well. So all the information you require is in the handbook, and it's worth just taking the time to sit down and go through it. Also on the Access College website, there is online videos how to complete the application. This similar PowerPoint to this is also available there, and they're also available on the CAO website.
Thank you, Rena. I think we'll hand over to Connor at this stage. So welcome, Connor. Connor is going to talk to everybody now about our own in-house access service. So Connor, would you like to start your presentation? Thank you.
Yeah, I'll just check it here. Can everyone hear me? Yeah.
That's perfect.
Can you see that, Linda?
That's up there. Yeah, work away.
Okay, so yeah, as Rena spoke about here, so Access TU Dublin was set up just maybe kind of as a safety net for any of those students who don't qualify for HERE. Unfortunately, some students won't because of it's mostly on income. So we have set this up a few years ago just to kind of to counter that and to help an extra support for students coming into TU Dublin. So we have HERE and DARE as national schemes, and we support all students who come in under HERE and DARE, but we also have our own access route called Access TU Dublin. So that's also a supportive route for students coming in. So access entry routes are admission routes for young people who may be facing challenges from different backgrounds, the same as HERE. It's mostly financial, and they need the supports there. So we would offer the reduced points places also, the same basis of points as HERE. We'd have post-entry supports, a financial, academic, social, and personal supports, and then students would have their own orientation. So they would be on the orientation program with HERE and DARE students also. So we're just trying to provide that support for students as much as we can, because we recognize sometimes, you know, these systems aren't perfect, and we want to provide that extra support to try and get students over the line. So these are just some of the supports that we provide when students come into the college. Obviously DARE is great for disability, and the staff there are brilliant, and they'll support with disability. We have fees and grants. So the academic support is great with our post-entry team, and we'd have accommodation support, finance. There is a creche for anyone who may need it, student counselling. So all the kind of pastoral care that goes with being a student as well, for student well-being, and there's a counsellor on every campus as well within TU Dublin. So just briefly, I won't kind of, Rena covered a lot of the bases there on here, but just to reiterate the points there for Access TU Dublin. So there's two strands to this, because we accept students also from QQI. So students who are doing their Leaving Cert, we would accept them on the Access TU Dublin route and QQI. So if you go off and do a PLC next year, we would accept you as a student there, and you can apply with your QQI points or your Leaving Cert points. Just to be aware, the QQI should be a level 5 or 6. So it has to be a major award. So just make sure that when you're doing your application for a PLC, that it is a major award you're signing up for. Okay, so the Access TU Dublin is aimed at students from those disadvantaged backgrounds who would be applying maybe for here or this one here for any TU Dublin course. So be under the age of 23, be from a socio-economic disadvantaged background. So usually we would check this based on a postcode of where a student lives, and you can check on Pubble Maps, and we would be able to tell that. So working on the Leaving Cert, living in the Republic of Ireland, and wishing to study a full-time course in TU Dublin. So applicants should be on the CAO, so you have to be on the CAO system, and they should have a TU Dublin course down on that. So also, like here, we would prioritize groups on the National Access Plan. So we're trying to encourage students from these groups to apply to TU Dublin more and more. So we would be very supportive of these students. So students from the travelling community, Roma communities, young parents, or those in care. So again, all your information is confidential when you're filling out our form. So we would have a bit more flexibility. So any students, we would recommend that everyone try and apply to here and there, but sometimes for whatever reason, people mightn't make it over the line with the here application. So that's why we have set up Access TU Dublin as an extra measure to support those students. So for our criteria, there's 3 of these criteria that you would have to meet. So be attending a DESH school. So live in an area of concentrated disadvantage or have experienced homelessness within the last 2 years. So again, when we're screening, we will have a way of finding out this information. So the household income on or below 46,790 in 2024, just to reiterate the year. So the financial year is 2024 because it's for a full financial year, and we started this process last year. So it's for the year before. So it'd be for 2024. So we can look at the income there, and depending where you sit on the income, we could be a little bit more flexible with that because we understand a lot of people don't make the income on here, and it's one of those things that you kind of, it's mandatory, you have to make the income. So we find a lot of the students maybe are a little over that. So if you meet 3 of these, you could be eligible for the Access TU Dublin program. So again, having a medical card and a GP visit card yourself or your parents would be evidence there also. So again, we take 26 weeks of the Social Welfare Department of Social Protection. Any welfare payments proof, you can just go down to your Intrio office and get the form stamped there, and it shows the amount of social welfare received in 2024. So the QQI, I'm not going to go through these again. It's the same screening criteria, but I would reiterate just to make sure you're not on level 4 QQI. It has to be level 5 and 6 and a major award. So I think it's 8 modules you have to study. Just check that it's 8 modules, and they will be looking for, I think there's like 3 distinctions and the rest passes, merits and passes. So you just have to check that with your PLC, and they will support you when you go there to apply through the CAO again the year after. So the same criteria there for QQI, and we would prioritize the same groups. And again, it's the same criteria that you'll be looking at if you did a PLC and you're applying next year. So these are the reserved places we have every year. So we would like to see these being filled on all courses. As Linda mentioned there, some courses, if they're oversubscribed or they're smaller, yeah, there will be more competition, obviously, with here or there places. But there's a lot of courses in TU Dublin. I think we have 152 at the moment, if I'm right there, Linda.
152, yes,
52.
we do.
So
a lot. Yeah.
There's a lot of courses. The places have to be filled. So we are going out and trying to reach schools with this information to apply, especially for the access routes, because we would love to support you on these. And we've a certain allocation, as you can see, on all courses. So it's important, no matter what course you go for, you never know, like there could be more than available places. So that's just some examples there. Rena read some of them out there of available places for reserved places for access students. Okay, so the QR code is there. You can actually scan that quickly now if you wanted, or if you're watching the playback of this recording, you can scan that on your phones and you can do a quick application. If you think you're applying to TU Dublin, be it as a Leaving Cert student on the CAO, or you're in a PLC, if you're watching this and you're in a PLC and you're applying to TU Dublin, then it might be worth scanning the QR code there to quickly apply. And don't worry about getting any of the parts not filling out completely. If you just submit it, we can get back to you and communicate on anything we might need from our side. Okay, so yeah, as I say, that's the email address. If you have any questions, you can scan the QR code there to get you directly to the links for the Access TU Dublin. The foundation program is also on that, our 1-year course, which there was another webinar on, I believe, during the week. An excellent course run by Susan Benson. So highly recommended if any students weren't sure what they were going to do, and that they might need another year to try our courses as a way of a bridge into college. So I think that's the end of me.
Thank you, Conor. Thank you. And so, guys, just to reiterate there, with Conor, if you fall kind of a little bit in between the gaps with the HERE scheme, Conor, wouldn't it be the case that students might have an opportunity then to get onto this program, because the criteria is probably just that little bit more strict with HERE than it is with this. So so good opportunities. But listen, guys, we will put all of those QR codes, etc., into the chat a little bit later. But obviously, we are going to distribute all of this at the end of the week when we finished all of our webinars. We're going to package them all together and we're going to send them out. So if you've signed up or if you've attended, you will receive that email with all of them. So now we're going to move along to the DARE scheme. So I'm going to welcome Anya. Anya, if you'd like to share your screen there and go through the DARE scheme with us. Thanks, Anya.
Sure, of course. Is that sharing okay?
That is, yeah, perfect.
Okay, perfect. Okay. So thanks, Linda, for introducing me. I'm Anya, a Learning Support Officer with the Disability Support Service in TU Dublin. So we're going to look at the Disability Access Route to Education, DARE. We'll walk through what DARE is, who should apply, how the process works, and the key deadlines to keep in mind. So I suppose in a nutshell, the Disability or Access Route to Education, or DARE, it's a third level alternative admission scheme for school leavers whose disabilities have had a negative impact on their second level education. And DARE offers reduced points places to school leavers who, as a result of having a disability, have experienced additional educational challenges in their second level education. And DARE is about ensuring every student has a fair chance to follow their dreams. The scheme was created to help students access higher education on an equal footing, especially when their educational experience has been impacted by their disability. So what are the benefits of DARE? When you get to college, when you get to TU Dublin, DARE can offer a range of supports. So including reduction in points up to 12.5%. We have our own disability service orientation. We provide learning support, assistive technology. You can avail of library support such as loan extensions, for example. We would provide exam accommodations, and for some students we would provide an educational support worker. So that could be a note taker or a personal assistant, for example, and also provision of academic tuition. But just something very important I just like to point out. You don't have to be eligible for DARE to get supports in college. So in the Disability Support Service in TU Dublin, we support students whether or not they are eligible for DARE and they have a diagnosed disability. So how that works is we would meet each student for a needs assessment and we identify the specific supports that are required. So if you have a diagnosis, you do not have to, if you don't qualify for the DARE scheme for whatever reason, please be assured that you will be supported by the Disability Support Service in TU Dublin. So you should consider applying if your disability has had a negative impact on your educational performance in school. You may not be able to meet the points for your preferred course due to the nature of the impact of your disability, and you are under the age of 23 years of age as of the 1st of January 2026. So you can apply for DARE if you have one or more of the following disabilities: autism, attention deficit disorder or ADD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder or ADHD, blind or vision impaired, deaf, hard of hearing, DCD, also known as dyspraxia. If you have significant literacy difficulties, dyslexia or dyscalculia, mental health condition, neurological condition, including brain injury and epilepsy, physical disabilities, significant ongoing illnesses, or speech and language disorder. So, applying for DARE. So DARE eligibility happens when students meet educational impact criteria and having evidence of a disability. And there are 4 key sections to the application. So we're going to break them down one by one through Section A, Section B, Section C, Section D. So let's start with Section A. So Section A is the first part of the online application, and this must be completed. So Section A must be completed by 5 o'clock on the 1st of March 2026. So you will answer yes to question 1, and that is to indicate that you wish to apply to DARE. And then you will fully complete questions 1 through to 5. So in them questions, you'll be asked to indicate your primary disability and indicate any other disabilities you may have. You'll be asked to indicate the supports you received in secondary school, and you'll be asked to write a personal statement. And this is just in your own words how school was for you and the challenges that you faced. And don't forget to click submit. So Section A must be complete by the 1st of March 2026. If you're carrying forward your eligibility from last year, 2025. So in other words, you may have been eligible last year and deferred your place. you need to just tick the box for question 1B. So that's section A. Section B. So section B is the educational impact statement section, and this section allows you and your school to provide details of how your disability has impacted you. And you or your school can download this form. You must complete the educational impact statement with your school, and your form needs to be completed by either your, in conjunction with your guidance counsellor, your learning support teacher, your year head, your visiting teacher, or principal or deputy principal. And something really important, this form section B must be signed and stamped by your school principal or your deputy principal. So, and that's really important that that is signed and stamped. And it must be posted to arrive by the deadline of the 10th of March 2026. So I suppose the section B educational impact statement really, I suppose the questions that are asked on it are, has your disability or condition impacted you in a combination of these indicators? So have you received intervention or supports in secondary school? Has it impacted on your attendance or disrupted your school day? Has it affected your school experience and well-being? Has it impacted on your learning or exam results? Or has your disability caused any other educational impact? So indicator 6 is required for applicants with significant literacy difficulties, dyslexia or dyscalculia. And I suppose indicator 6, it is severely impacting on your literacy or numeracy skills. So applicants who have specific learning difficulties must meet indicator 6 along with one other of the indicators 1 to 5. Every other applicant, other disability, must meet 2 indicators of 1 to 5. So the section C, the next section is your evidence of disability. So the evidence of disability provides verification of your disability. And you can provide either an existing report or a complete section C evidence of disability form. And this must be completed by the appropriate professional. Just to say, if it's an existing report that you have or the section C, there must be a clear diagnosis of your disability in this. And it is really important to review providing the evidence of your disability website so you are providing the correct evidence. So I highly recommend that you read that carefully to ensure you're providing the appropriate documentation for your disability. Section D, the final section that we're going to talk about briefly, is if you are applying for DARE with a diagnosis of dyslexia, but you do not have a psychological assessment report. So section D is where the school can complete this on your behalf, and they would complete section D if you do not have a full psychological assessment for dyslexia. Again, really important that this section D is signed and stamped by the SEN teacher and also signed by the principal or deputy principal. And again, all documentation must be returned to the CAO by the 10th of March 2026. So in a nutshell, to meet the DARE eligibility criteria, you must meet educational impact criteria and evidence of disability. Both together will ensure your DARE eligibility. So just a couple of tips on submitting your DARE application. It is important that you read carefully the DARE handbook, which is available on accesscollege.ie, which are parents and guardians. You must apply to the CAO. This is the usual deadline by the 1st of February 2026. You must indicate that you want to apply through DARE for the DARE by the 1st of March 2026. Ensure you speak to your teacher, your career guidance counsellor, your deputy principal early about your educational impact statement. Request your required supporting documentation early. So, if you do need to get a copy of your report or you do need Section C completed, ensure to begin that process early. Send good quality copies of all pages of the correct documentation and post all the supporting documentation requested to the CAO by the 10th of March. So the 10th of March is the absolute deadline. So please ensure to get it off to them before then. Keep proof of postage. So highly recommend to send your documentation in by registered post. And it is a good idea, as previously mentioned by here colleagues, to write your CAO number on the top of every document that you send in. So, DARE application outcome. So you will receive an email notification about your DARE application outcome once the Leave and Cert exams are over in late June. So you will get a notice whether you have been deemed eligible or not. And you can log into the CAO application to view your DARE application outcome also. And you can apply to both DARE and HERE. So just a quick recap of the timeline, the deadlines rather. So by the 1st of February, you must have applied to the CAO. By the 1st of March, you must have indicated that you wish to apply for DARE. By the 10th of March, you must have your documentation in before the 10th of March. That's very important. It's a cut-off date. After the Leave and Cert is over in late June, you'll be notified of eligibility of your DARE application. There is a review and appeals application if you'd like to appeal the decision in early July. And August 2026, the DARE offers go out, and then in early September in TU Dublin, it's early mid-September, we have our orientation for DARE students. And again, just to recap on the website www.accesscollege.ie, will give lots of help and support with your DARE application. Okay, and that's it from me.
Thanks a million. We're going to work away on some of the questions now. So guys, I can see you're starting to put some questions in there. I would say to leave any names or any really personal details out, because obviously you can email us and we'll answer them. But we might just take that question there in relation to report, and maybe we can ask this of yourself, Anya. So we have a lady there, just her child has had a diagnosis of clinical anxiety in 2018. Are you aware, is that report too old now at this stage?
So generally for a mental health condition, reports must be within 5 years.
Okay.
So 18, 19, 20, 22, potentially. You know,
Yeah.
in 2018, I just double check on the Access, Evidence of Disability website. Olive might help me there.
I did.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't want to cut across you. Yeah, actually, why that question came in, I just double checked that, yeah, it's actually 3 years rather than 5 years. So it would have to be, unfortunately, a report from 2018 would just be too old. accesscollege.ie has every disability listed on it. And again, we will add that to the chats here. But it's just for every disability, there is a particular age criteria, you know, kind of because obviously some disabilities may fluctuate, others may not. So it really is on a case-by-case basis, or I should say a disability-by-disability basis, that the dates for eligibility are. And I can see there's another, the autism, you know, kind of would be another disability. And the age limit on autism there's no age limit on autism. Purely, you know, kind of it's the nature of that particular disability. So, you know, kind of what we would always be looking at, well, not always, the CEO will be looking at is a full picture. So the student the school had filled in the educational impact statement. So that would have all of that information, the supporting documentation, and Section A is the bit, you know, kind of, which actually is important in that it gives the students voice. So, and it certainly is invaluable to us when we're doing a needs assessment when a student comes into TU Dublin. It just gives us an idea of the challenges that their student has faced, and it just gives their voice, whereas everything else is from the school or from, you know, kind of a medical profession or a psychologist or anything else like that. Section A is their opportunity to tell us their challenges.
Thank you, Olive. So just to go down to these questions very quickly, the 1st of February is the deadline to apply for the CAO with your course choices. And obviously you will have set up your application and will have your CAO number by then. The CAO will close on the 1st of February and won't reopen for people to change their mind until May. So you need to, if you haven't already set up a form, you need to do that by the 1st of February so you can have your CAO application number to make your application. So we just have a lady question, what happens if you're unsuccessful with the DARE application? You then just place into the normal CAO application process. Yes, that's correct. So you will just basically compete as a normal applicant if you are unsuccessful. But you still may avail of some of the services within the university, as Anya has said earlier, the DARE services, just not competing for a place on the CAO. So that's the case. Okay. So is a C1 level in English required to diagnose dyslexia? Olive, would you know that one? A C1 level in English required to diagnose dyslexia? I'm not familiar with how they diagnose dyslexia myself.
I'm going passing that one to Anya.
Yeah, Anya.
I'd say for a DARE application, it would be a psychologist report that has a clear diagnosis of dyslexia. If you're unable to get a psychologist report, the school may complete Section D on your DARE application. So Section D would indicate, the school would indicate that, you know, the student has received supports over the years, you know, and they would also do a dyslexia assessment, which would be indicator 6 in the educational impact statement. So talk to the school, I'd say, to see if there is, you know, has your has the student had supports in the past, and can they have a dyslexia assessment within the school? So with the two combined together, you know, could be eligible depending on the outcome of the assessment in the school.
Yeah. I have a lady there, her child has had an operation and can't sit for long periods. She doesn't have a report on this. So how could we help there? Maybe you could take that one, Olive.
Yeah, I think I actually answered it there. I would imagine that if a child has had a spinal operation, they're under the care of a consultant. And in that instance, I would ask the consultant can fill in, you know, kind of the section C, because I would imagine that they would need support for their leaving cert accommodations. So given the nature of those exams, they will have to have some sort of accommodations. So the best thing would be if they could ask the consultant to fill in, whoever performed, you know, kind of, I'm sure they're under the care of a consultant, that they can fill in the section C form, because the section C in that case would be perfect for them because it asks the questions. It asks the questions that we need the answers for. So, you know, kind of, it's the 21st of January. The documentation has to be in by the 10th of March. So there is still time. So I would suggest contacting the actual department themselves and just explain the urgency and ask for that to be sent to the person as soon as possible.
Great. So just then, in terms of, I have another one here. Is a psychiatrist letter enough for evidence with no test/diagnosis? You guys know that?
It depends on what the disability here isn't mentioned. So you know, it's not mentioned. If it is for a specific learning difficulty, such as well, I suppose that'd be more psychologist report, a psychiatrist. A psychiatrist letter, depending on the disability, once it confirms the diagnosis, should be enough. It would be enough. If it's a learning difficulty, dyscalculia or dyslexia, you would need up-to-date scores, you know, up-to-date dyslexia assessment test. When I say up-to-date, it's generally within the last 2 years. You would need something up-to-date.
Guys, I would say if you want to ask something very specific, it might be better for you actually to ask the guys maybe via email, because some of this information might be quite personal to be adding to a chat. I see we have a couple of other queries there, but I would probably be referring one or two of you guys directly to the service just to get an answer, probably maybe offline. We might just take that one on type 1 diabetes. Is this considered an ongoing illness disability for the DARE scheme? I assume so.
Absolutely.
Not autoimmune.
It absolutely significant ongoing illness. So that would absolutely. I would also, you know, kind of in relation to if you're not sure which category your disability fits under, in that there are certain cases where they may fit under a number. Don't worry about it. Put down whatever you think it is, you know, kind of, because the panel of people who are looking at every single category of disability, they'll make the decision for you. So, but certainly in the case of diabetes, that would be come under a significant ongoing illness.
Okay, great. So I have a lady there saying, can she list more than one disability? By all means,
and absolutely, you know, kind of if there's documentation for all the disabilities, what we all generally would say is which has had the most, which has most negatively impacted you know, kind of, but then, you know, kind of list every single, you know, kind of difficulty that you may have, just so we know, you know, kind of, and then, you know, kind of we'll take it from there.
Okay, so I'm just going to take this one on the DARE scheme, and it's in relation to offers and demands. So if you're eligible for DARE, but due to demand and limited places available on programs through the scheme, you may not get the reduced points choice. Would you be automatically put through the standard CAO offers? Okay, so basically, yes. But if you haven't got the reduced points and you're not meeting so you don't have the points for that choice, what we do is we look at your first choice. Then if you don't have enough reduced points and you're not in the criteria for that, we move on to your second choice, your third choice, etc. So you might not necessarily get your first choice, but you may get a choice further down, either where you are on the points or where we are able to reduce your points to meet it. So I always say to students, fill out your CAO form strategically and add as many options as you can in the area that you like. It gives you more opportunity to get something that you really like. We have a lot of programs in the university, and a lot of them, you know, as I mentioned, with the level 6 and 7 as well, where you can progress through onto level 8, is also a good option for students. So, but yes, you'll still be in the mix the whole way through, just on the standard CAO, but where we can bring you up to the points, we will if we have that offer available. Okay, so we're getting a lot of questions in here, guys. What we potentially will do at this stage, because we're way over time on the webinar, we are going to take all of these questions, and what we'll do is we'll prepare a Q&A with the answers to them, and we will send them out to you on over the next couple of days. Some of them, where we feel they are quite personal, we might ask you to email us directly with your query. It might be actually more appropriate for you if you want to ask us. Now, we have put up the Here and There scheme email addresses as well. So if you want to, you can email us in on those, or you can call us, of course. But what we will do is we will just go through the rest of the questions there, and we will answer them maybe offline for some of you, because we have a lot of individual kind of queries coming in there that I think it would be more appropriate perhaps to answer offline. So we're going to wrap up the webinar now. We are a little over time. As I mentioned, this full recording will go out with the other recordings from all of our different webinars that we've ran over the last 2 weeks. You should be receiving this either on Friday or on Monday of next week. And you'll be able to access all of this, but we will put together a little couple of answers just for people who we haven't perhaps answered here. So I'd like to thank everybody who has come on this evening to listen to us. And again, we do hope to hear from you if you have any more questions. And of course, we hope to see many of you in this coming September. Thank you very much, and good evening, everyone. Bye-bye.